Hey, what's going on, everybody? Just sitting here on a lunch break and just wanted to share some thoughts. If you've been kind of following me, for the ones that have, thank you. If not, this is brand new. And I just wanted to share my thoughts, man, because a couple people have asked me, you're over 50. Why are you even trying to mess with social media and trying to figure that stuff out? This is for the kids. Yeah, I mean, some of that may be true, but here's the deal. I got kids. And for the things that I want to do, even at 50, I can't do on the path that I've been going. So just stay with me for a minute. So, I went the traditional route. I went to, graduate high school, went to college, did all that, went to the military, did that training, got out, did all that, more training, more this, more that, got a decent job in corporate America, been government contracting for years, and, all that's great, based on, I guess, the standard of success. But here's the deal, man, all you really get to do is work. It's just work. And I'm at 50, and I've seen so many people check out early, and I've seen so many people they just get burnt out, and the only thing that really happens is they just get replaced. The job cares for a day or two, but, people just get replaced. I've known coworkers that have passed away, and, people are sad for 2 or 3 days, but then it's like, all right, well, that person's gone. We're paying for referrals if you know anybody, and it's crazy. I've seen people, work and sacrifice for their job and don't take vacations, miss all their kids' events, barely home with the family. They're staying at the office all hours of the night only to, get to a point where the job or the company struggles, and then they'll let you go. So I'm kind of at a point now, for what I do in the IT career field, I'm at a point where I'm getting capped out. The ceiling ain't that high for what I do anymore. It was pretty high a while ago. I've started going down the path of looking at other things, but at the end of the day, man, it's still a job, so I'm really just basing all my talents on what somebody else thinks. No matter what I do, it feels like a dangling carrot. And, some days it's frustrating. So I said all that to say, that's kind of why I got into this content creation. I'm on all the platforms. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, I'm even on Twitch at 50, learning how to do that. Because one thing I will say about this generation of kids, we can call them lazy, we can call them this, we can call them that. But I hate to say it, man, the way we were brought up and what we were told to do, that model ain't working anymore. And it's at a point, with the current administration, I'm not going to get political, but it's at a point where Social Security and all this stuff that, we were told to work towards so we can retire and be comfortable ain't going to be around. Because, benefits are being wiped out in a pen stroke at the moment. I think about my parents who are, getting up in age. I think they'll be okay with theirs, but, what about me? Or worse, what about my kids? When they hit 70, they work a job all their life, and then they get to the end of it, and there's nothing there for them, and then they become a burden. And, it's just a slippery slope. So for me, like this content creation, it's just stuff I want to do. And a lot of it, I want to travel. I got family all over the world. I got family all over the country. And a lot of people, unfortunately, man, I just don't see just because of work. It's work or something else that I got to do. But, so I'm looking at this stuff because, I can hop on the phone anywhere and share my thoughts. And, if people like it and enough people like it and they share it and all this sort of stuff, you can make income off of that. So for me, I'm not going to quit my job, but, just taking a few minutes out of a day to share my thoughts with people and put it on a platform And if it gets big enough to where people are sharing it, and these companies see it and they want more of what I got to say, I mean, what do I got to lose? At 50 something, it's worth a shot. So I've taken a few Snickers here and there when people are like, man, you too old for all that stuff. It is what it is, but I got stuff to do, man. I got kids in college that I want them to come out of college debt free. I got 2 kids in college, that got off-campus apartments that, I got to figure out how to pay for, or at least, help them out to pay for. But that's not to say, they still want to do stuff while they're in college. I don't want my kids eating, ramen noodles every day and all this sort of stuff and just telling them, oh, well, I struggle, so, you got to learn. I'm not saying I'm trying to spoil them, but man, I don't want my kids to have to do half the stuff I did. When they get out of college, I want to be able to just say, here, here's $20,000, $30,000 of down payment on a house, so you don't have to do it the way I did it when I didn't buy a house till I was like well into my 40s. I want them to have home ownership early, or if they don't want to get a home, buy an investment property. I told my kids, like, I'm doing this also for, I'd love to be in a position like every birthday, man, I'm buying them a house. Just as a portfolio type thing. That's the stuff I'm trying to do for my family. That's why I get on here and I don't know, maybe to some degree, probably embarrass myself, making a whole bunch of mistakes, using the wrong hashtags, all this sort of stuff, following all these young streamers and all this sort of stuff, not necessarily hoping they see me, but if they do, that's dope, man. I'd love to meet some of these guys and, sit down with them like the Kai Cenats and the I Show Speeds. And it's another guy, I think his name's Raoud. I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but learning from these guys, because really, like, what I'm trying to do with people, I want to give back in a bigger way. I'm not talking about, I see, a homeless person, I give them $5 for a sandwich or something. Yeah, I mean, I've done that stuff before, but I want to get to a point where I'm doing this because not only for my family, I want to be in a point, like, if I'm living anywhere in the world, I can fly my mom, my dad, anybody to come see me. I can fly my kids to come see me. If I want to go see family, I don't have to ask nobody and check my leave balance to see how much vacation days I got, or just, work out all these sort of deals to try and, keep a job. I want to just have that freedom to just be able to do what I need to do. And then also, like, I see people online all the time, with these GoFundMes and all this stuff. I want to be that dude, just, I don't want cameras in front of me and all that sort of stuff. I just want to be a guy like, hey, saw this person, this kid was like, hey, I'm in my senior year of college and dang, I'm $10,000 short because, and I just need somebody to help me, because I know what that feel like. Because my son, a couple years ago, he took a semester off because we was short. Like, we didn't have the extra money, and no matter how many times, I'm not even going to call out the school, but no matter how many times we called the school, explain the situation, all they did was just look at my pay stub and just be like, oh yeah, you got it, you'll figure it out. And a lot of times, man, the student loan people wasn't messing with us and all this stuff. And a couple times I sat there and thinking, like, maybe I should just tag a whole bunch of celebrities and hopefully somebody come through. But that ain't my story, and it didn't happen. So, I want to be that person. I don't want to be on TV. I don't want all this sort of stuff. I just want to be that dude, like, hey, a kid $5,000, $10,000 short on college trying to finish out. Hey, I'm gonna just go down to the registrar or call the registrar and just say, hey, give me, 10 kids about to graduate that's behind on they school balance. And I just want to go down there and just pay it. Go to a county school system, man. 300 kids behind on their school lunch bill, man. Let's pay that off right now. Because sometimes, like, for some parents, man, honestly, that's all they need, man. They just need a little bump up, a little help sometimes, just to know people care. And it's just sad for me, because I look at society now, we've gotten to a point, like, it's always like me, like, the people, talking about people losing benefits, and everybody like, well, I worked hard, so, just suck it up and figure it out. I was like, man, when do we get to that point, man? Everybody at some point needed help. And I don't care how many millions of dollars you got, how much money you got to a point where you needed help from somebody. Yeah, you might have figured some stuff out, you might have worked hard, but at the end of the day, somebody gave you a chance. It's a business or something, somebody helped you somewhere. So to get to that point, to be like, well, I figured it out, I mean, that's just selfish, man. So I'm just trying to help as many people I can. I mean, I go to a church, we got a pretty large building fund. Whatever your opinions are about religion, it don't matter. Like, I want to be in a position like, let's stop. We ain't got to fundraise no more. Let me just pay this, so we can move forward. I want to just try and bless people. That's why I want to, figure out this social media, because I'm looking at people making a lot of money. And at the end of the day, man, if somebody, like, all it takes, honestly, for me, is somebody tag me one time, like one of these high profile streamers. I promise you tag me one time. I mean, you can change somebody's circumstance. Because I've also watched, not to knock the high profile ones, but I've also watched some people who do pretty well on social media, and you got to this point and you figured it out and you did this and you did that. And I'm not knocking your hustle, man, but then you charging people like an arm and a leg to tell them something that you could probably do for free. Like, I mean, like, if you truly making hundreds of millions of dollars, is it gonna hurt you to take 10 or 12 people and just say, hey, let me show you what I did, take you under my wing, and now you made 10 or 12 more millionaires. Y'all can link up, and then y'all make more millionaires, and you help other people. But, some people, man, they just, I'm not knocking the courses. I get it, man. But, sometimes, like, some of these courses is crazy, man. Help some people out. Like, because there's some people that genuinely need it. And I know people always say, well, if you don't put any investment, ain't no skin in the game, and you won't do it as hard. That may be true, but, at least give some people a shot. If you got to do your due diligence to see if people worth your time, so be it. But, if I get to that point, man, I promise you, if somebody's like, hey, show me what you do, I'll be like, all right, let me show you what I did. And that's what we're going to do. I'm not here, I'm not no fool, man. I'm not here for a long time. I'm going to be here as long as God say I'm going to be here. And then when it's over, it's over. But I want to get to a point where I can leave something for my kids, and then they can leave something for their kids, and they could just say, hey, Dad set us up, man. We good. Like, I want to break that cycle of, like, just struggling. It's like, well, I struggle, so you're going to have to struggle. It builds character. I was like, nah, man. Some stuff, yeah, you got to learn, but other stuff, like, just getting a deposit for a house, or just getting a down payment for a car, or, funding your kids, wedding and stuff like that, man. Nobody should have to struggle to do all that. Like, I just want to do for my kids. I want to do for my family. My mom is 70 something. Like, I still want to buy my mom a house, so she don't have to rent one. It's just little stuff for me. It might not be a big deal for you, because a lot of people got stuff. Like, for me, it ain't about cars and flying around in jets. Like, I'll be honest, man, if I got a good car and a nice house, but I can pay all my bills, I can go where I want to go, I can go see this country, go see that country, bless some people along the way while I'm there, and just make people generally feel good, to let you know, like, hey, everybody who making money ain't trying to suck the life out of you, and they just ain't trying to take. I'm not one of these people like, hey, follow me, build my platform, and then when I see you, asking for a follow back, you're like, nah, I'm real, I'm not that person. So I've seen that too. I've seen people, go on these platforms, build huge followings, and then, like, they got like 2 followers. Oh, that's crazy. I was like, you got 20 million people following your page, and you only follow 2 people. To me, that just tells me, man, you just out here just taking from people. You got people believing and supporting you, but you can't take the time. I'm not saying if you got 2 million, you should follow 2 million, but God, I mean, you can't follow 15 or 20,000 people. Like, you can't just pop up on live sometime and just shout people out, hashtag people. Like, like, for me, if I got to that point, I'm jumping on social media. I'm like, hey, the first 10 people, give me your accounts. I'm going to shout you out, and I'm going to tell people, go check out your page. Bro, that don't cost nobody nothing to help somebody out like that. And, like, when I see him or somebody say, hey, follow me, if your page is, like, on board, you ain't doing nothing pornographic, nothing weird, I ain't got no problem hitting the follow button, man. The follow button is free. Sometimes, people out here trying to hit goals every day. Who am I to be like, I ain't got time to be following you? Nah, I don't do that, man. I just follow everybody. I support everybody. I try and give everybody love, even if I don't get the love back. But, it's crazy, because it's true. Sometimes they say, strangers is the one that supports you. But, family support you to a point. But, real talk, family done seen you do a lot of hustles. So sometimes they get tired. But, you know, when you get to that point, when you make it, I'm not going to be petty. You know, if I got it, you got it. That's just how it is. And if I can do it, I'm going to do it. If I can't, I can't. You know, it's like I think Kevin Hart said one time, you know, he got all this money and he said, you know, everybody got that button to push one time. And that's going to be me. Yo, you got that button to push one time. You got a business idea and I got it. All right, I'm going to give it to you. You know, there'll be some people that got more buttons to push. But, you know, everybody going to get that opportunity. You know, so if I ever get there, man, just know if I got it, you got it. And this is for like family, friends, even strangers, man, because I've gotten cool with people I'll probably never meet in life. But, you know, there's people that shout out my page all the time. There's certain people I can tell, like, the minute I post something, like, that person going to like it right away. And for me, like, that says everything. So if they ever get to a point where I see a post and they're like, hey, I really could, my car broke down, bro, I remember them people. I was like, man, I'll shoot you something in a minute. I'll put it all private. Hey, send me your Cash App. I'll send it to you right now. But, you know, so when people ask me why I'm doing all this, it ain't just out here to be like, hey, look at me. It's stuff I want to do before I leave this earth. There's places I want to see. There's people I want to help. You know, I ain't looking for no statues. I ain't looking for no Hollywood Walk of Fame, none of that. I just want to look out for people, and I just want to be somebody that everyone say, hey, when Stan was here, man, he really looked out, and leave a legacy, break some generational curses, and just do what we need to do. So that's it, man. That's me in a nutshell. Let's go.